Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brownstone. I'm your host, Dr. Michele, and you are listening to Numbers Don't Lie. We learn to get out your feelings so you can make the best success for yourself, your family, and your business. Guys, I have a really special treat for you. She's a surprise treat, okay? I think I forgot that she operates in this capacity until we start talking more recently. But to me, what she does is the perfect example of what it looks like when you actually are tracking your data, doing some evaluation of if your programs or your systems are actually working. And if they're not working, what you need to do to get them to work. Because it has to be both of them. It can't just be, well, we think it's working. You got to evaluate it. Or once you evaluate, if it's not, what's the plan to make it better? What's the plan of improvement? And so part of what she does is brings in the plan of improvement. So today's episode is called From Evaluation to Execution, Turning Soft Skills into Hard Returns. So do y'all ever had those people at your job where it's just like, they're just difficult to work with? And it's not because they're not good at what they do. They're just sometimes just difficult people. Like maybe they are just socially awkward, or maybe they just don't know how to talk to people. You know what I mean? Like those types of things. Well, she helps with all that. So that way you can maximize that workspace. Okay. So guys, welcome to the Brownstone community, Coach Kiana Shaw.
Hello, Dr. Michele and community.
How are you?
I'm great. I am great. So excited to be able to interview with you today.
I'm excited that you came. Listen, me and Kiana have been trying to get together.
Okay? For a minute. There's always something that comes up. But, when you have greatness, I've learned that obstacles come up to see if you will push through, right? Not to stop you. I don't think it's God's way of saying that I shouldn't be here. It's really just about pushing through the obstacle. When I love the book, The Obstacle is the Way. So when there is an obstacle, the obstacle becomes the way, right? And so we were able to get it together. So today, here we are. Let's go.
All right. So Kiana, tell them a little more about yourself, because I gave them a little taste.
Well, okay. So I am a self-mastery coach. I'm a parent specialist. I am a training and development specialist. And so my whole life is about helping people to their next level, whether it's the individual, whether it's parent-teenage relationships, and maybe it might be just trying to get you a job and get you the training that you need to be able to sustain that job. I also am a new neighborhood member of the Brownstone. So I am here with my co-host Danielle Lipkin, and we are the Real on Parenting here on Brownstone.
Awesome. So you wear many hats, and apparently you're really good at all of them.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm like, at the end of the day, my favorite is the parenting hat. Like, I'm a mom of an amazing 10-year-old, and she don't give me no problems, like none. Right. So I'm always really excited to face the day with her. And so whatever comes up, I'm just like, let's go. Let's get it.
I love that. Yay. Okay, so we're going to wear the hat today that's about the training and development, because we have business owners that are tuning in, nonprofit leaders, and just leaders in general. And yes, they have issues with people, because one thing that we say on our team, my corporate job is, it's not the what, it's the who. And sometimes they're willing to take, if you don't have every single checkbox, if you have a personality that will fit with our team.
Right.
Because we need like what we do is very cooperative. Like, we don't work in silos. We're very much together a lot. Mm-hmm. So okay. I want to start from there. And so I'm going to read the stats to you guys, and then I'm going to let Kiana address it with what she does. So there's a study by the Society for Human Resource Management. It said 88% of employers believe soft skills are increasingly important to company success. So, Coach Kiana, can you talk to us about what the lack of soft skills actually look like in the workplace? And then can you tell us what soft skills actually are? Because I feel like that's a buzzword too.
So the thing about it being a buzzword is that it means so many different things to so many different people, right? But when you're looking at training and development, work readiness particularly, soft skills are those skills that a company needs, a person needs, let me not say the company, the person needs to gel with the company. So that could be a variety of things based on what they are wanting. Okay. So that being said, you asked me what are the lack of soft skills that I know of in the workplace. And my data comes from speaking to human resource directors and managers. So I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. A lot of times in working with them, they'll say, listen, Coach K, everybody interviews well, right? Because they can Google the questions, they can practice their answers. Everybody has a great resume because you can go online and they have tons of templates and they have tons of, you can have people help you. You can have professionals help you, right? When your mama wants you out of her house bad enough, she'll write your resume, okay? And so what ends up happening is they have this resume and they have these interview questions and they're really good. But 6 months in, you start to notice that their attitude is bad, right? They don't know how to leave their stress at home and not bring it to work. Or you find out that they taking the stress from work out on the people at home, right? And now you got DCFS cases, you got domestic violence cases. Like it could be a lot of things. We find that people don't know how to manage their conflict. They, it's like in the beginning, they would just walk away, but then benefits have kicked in now. So now they like, nuck if you buck, right? And so they're not handling their stress, their conflict. Huh?
Real, because it's like, oh, I'm in there now. They start
right. Exactly. And so those are the things that we're finding that people need the skills, because as you're moving forward, you got to be a team member. And a lot of companies are finding, like a lot of companies are actually moving their probation period to 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, because they like, y'all playing. Y'all coming in here with this false representative, and now we're discovering it, but now we got to train somebody new. That's costing us money. Every time. And I forget what the percentage is, so forgive me, because I know you are the data doctor, honey. But I forget the percentage of the amount of companies that have to retrain people or train a new person, I should say, for a role that they've already trained, and then they have to do it over and over and over again because the training and development is not being done before these people get to the workplace. Wow. And it really should be. And if it's not, there needs to be some component in their workplace training that includes training and development so that they can iron out the things that people really need.
That's good. That's good. Child, I didn't know it was that bad. Like
and it got worse with COVID. It got worse. Like if you talk to human resource professionals, they're like, listen, people don't want to come to work. That they have a billion excuses now. They feel entitled to work from home versus in the office. But some cultures are very much so in the office. You got to tell them 10, 15 times in the interview process, you're coming to the office. Otherwise, they're going to be calling you the day before, like, oh, I can't. Or, after a couple of months, they're like, I can work from home now. You're like, no, this is an in-office culture. And so there's tons of things that have transpired over the last couple of years because of COVID, or people are using COVID as the excuse. That could be the other thing. Really? But the culture of in office has shifted, and because people are secluded at their homes, they have all these bad habits that they're developing.
Yeah.
And when they have to go back into the office, they don't know what to do.
That's real. Listen, my bad habit I developed is I don't want to put on like full like work clothes.
Oh, you Zoom chic. You look good from here to here.
Sometimes we don't even turn our team do not be turning our camera on. We like,
but see, that's something look, I'm not here to offend nobody, but as the leader, you got to stop. You know why? Because they feel like you're not showing up. Mm-hmm. And so they don't. When I'm teaching, like I teach for a couple of universities, or a university and a couple of organizations. Let me rephrase that. And I'm always telling the staff, you have to turn on your camera, because the kids come on, they don't want to turn, because we're leading by example. If we're leading by example and we don't turn on our cameras, they legit feel like, oh, it's not necessary. So then they get a Coach K who's like, turn on your cameras or I'm exiting you. Like I can release you into your day if you want, right? And it's like, oh my God. Well, because there has to be a standard set. It has to be.
You are listening to Numbers Don't Lie with me, Dr. Michele, on KCC out of Brownstone. Be sure to check us out on brownstoneworldwide.com as well as Brownstone Worldwide on Facebook and Instagram. We have tons of things happening all up and through Brownstone. I mean, we have a cruise coming up. We have a new edition of the magazine coming out, which yours truly is on the cover. So you definitely want to go check out that preview, and even subscribe. It's only $5.99. You can also be an advertiser in that magazine as well. So check out brownstoneworldwide.com to subscribe or to advertise in that magazine. Be sure to head over to mogulbeginnings.com. That's MOGUL, mogulbeginnings.com, to check out some of those case studies that I put out there. I find that many of the organizations have very similar problems. These are nonprofits, churches, as well as small businesses. Very similar issues. I want you to go check out those case studies on mogulbeginnings.com, and you can see if you identify yourself in there. Set up a call with me and let's talk. You can do that right on the website, mogulbeginnings.com.
Keeping it locked to KCCR Radio,
my station,
the Brownstone Center, and don't forget, no matter where you go, there we are.
We're talking about like that workplace culture and the culture that you want to create. And I do strongly believe that it is a top-down thing, because I hear a lot of complaints about like, oh, Walmart environment or, you know, a certain restaurant. But I'm like, well, that behavior is condoned clearly. So it's not just the entry level people. It's not just the front facing people. If there's an issue, you need to speak to the manager or higher up, because they're clearly allowing that behavior to happen.
Absolutely.
Can you tell some of the techniques that you actually employ when teaching about conflict management? I know we talked about people come in and have a bad attitude, like they got their foot in the door, but we realize like, oh, they're kind of a nasty person. So what are some of your techniques you use to help with conflict management, or any other the skills that may be lacking?
So one of the things that there's a trio. There's attitude, stress management, and conflict resolution, right? They are so intertwined and connected that you really can't do one without the other two, because people legit, like they're always on top of each other, right? It's literally a Jenga game. And the attitude pieces are not all on the same road. The conflict pieces are not all on the same road. The stress pieces are not all on the same road. So it's really a thing of, if we start with attitude, because people forget that a lot of the issues they're having is really how they're responding to it. It's not the situation itself. Mm-hmm. The situation itself is usually like 10%. But the other 90% is our attitude about what it is. So I always give, particularly when I'm working with the teenagers, I give the example, if it's 7 o'clock, you're used to talking to your significant other at 7, at 8 o'clock, you like, hey, I haven't talked to them. You give them a call and they don't answer. At 9 o'clock, they don't answer. What is your mindset, right? And the kids are like, oh, they cheating. We breaking up. And I'm like, in 2 hours? Oh my goodness, my phone stay on silent. Like I would be in trouble, right? And I'm like, okay, so then what happens if they, it's like 1 a.m. and you like, they haven't even read my text messages yet, right? And they like, yeah, they with somebody. Like it's done. I'm gonna send a breakup text. And so I'm like, what if it's really just a situation like they were at their grandmother's house? When I go to my grandmother's house, when she was alive, but even, elders that I feel like my aunts and uncles, I turn my phone off because I'm here, I'm present, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do it as respect. When my nieces come over, turn your phone off, put it down. You talking to me. You don't need to be interacting and texting the whole time. So what if it's a situation where they at Granny house, she done fed them, and then they fell asleep and their phone was still on silent from when they were at work. Now you done broke up with a person, you know what I mean? And then they like, nah, I'm gonna put a tracker on the phone. Like that's a lie, right? And all it is a missed call. But because of maybe some other things you've been going through, or maybe they have a pattern, right? Because you're using the history you have with them as your data for the current moment. So all of that can compound, but it really was just a missed phone call. It really is just their phone is on silent. Right. And so when you have things like that, a lot of times people don't understand. It really was just 10% versus the 90%, but you jumped into that 90% so hard that you don't have the 10% perspective, right? They've never done this before. They've like, you know what I mean? Like, and then sometimes, you know, if it goes longer than that, we go from, you know, what if they died to they better be dead, right? Like, they better be dead if they ain't answering this call. And you're like, wait a minute, let's all back up. But people go through a range of emotions and they spiral out. Well, if you have that going on just with your attitude, it's going to increase your stress levels. It's going to have you being conflicted and starting drama where there doesn't need to be any. You understand what I'm saying? So those are the trio. So when I'm working with a company, I always say, like, these are the three main ones. Now, I get it. You want to do team building and all that. If they get their attitude right, if they manage their stress, and if they are good with resolving conflicts and not escalating them, you're going to have a great team member. You're going to have a great management type of person. But these three have to be done first.
Wow. That was good. That actually, it triggered my mind to something else, because what are some things that managers and HR personnel can actually like ask about, like on an interview, that will kind of like show some of the true colors? Because it's like you can hide for a little bit, but perhaps some better questions could be asked to collect some more information. Like, okay, this person may be a wild card. We don't know how she gonna react.
That's a good question. So I'm gonna say this: it's not the question itself, because people will default to answering what they think you want to hear.
That's real.
You got to give scenarios. You have to, you know, if this is the situation, what about this? And you got to go, you know, you can't just go with your corporate scenarios. You got to think about that home life scenario too, right? Is your employee or potential employee the type of person who will, you know, let's say you give a scenario. What would you do if your significant other who you already broke up with shows up at the job? That's something that they be like, you could look at the facial expression. They be like, you know what I'm saying? They got that eye turner look. You know they got it in them. You know it's in them. If they, you know, I was at the school a couple of weeks ago, and one of the kids was just really not being his best self. And so I hit him with the mama look, and one of the other staff members was like, oh, wait, like, I ain't getting involved with that. And I started laughing because I said, it's okay. I said, I'm not escalated. He is. Like, he is the one who has to change behavior. I shot him the look because this is a warning. It's the same mama look everyone has been given at some point, right? But if you're trying to hire me, you want to know that I give the mama look, because everybody don't appreciate it, right? Sure. So it's really scenario based. There's no question that you can ask, but over time, people are going to bring their true selves out. They are. They're going to start cussing folks out. They're going to leave their desk messy. So there's really no one question, but you can ask questions and give them an opportunity to give you their truth, right? But it's how you phrase it. You got to let them know this is a safe space. Like, I'm just trying to get to know you. But they know that we're going to hold it against them if they give the wrong answers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can tell them it's a safe space. But at the end of the day, it's not judgment if it's evident. Let me just say that, right? Like, if you let me know you're going to shoot up the place, okay, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Don't call me. I ain't going to call you, right?
We're losing your number right after this.
Right, and lose hours, okay? But every situation is different. And so you want to ask questions. And there are some questions that, you know, human resources has to say, like, they can't ask you how many kids you have, right? That's an illegal question. But they say, tell me about your family life. And what do? Oh my goodness. So I have these wonderful kids. Right. And so they're calculating when they're asking you about your family life, they're like, okay, she got 3 kids. Okay, the kids are probably gonna get sick about 3 times a year. So that's 3 times that. Okay, so we're looking at 9 illnesses. Then she gonna probably get sick at the end of each one. So that means she gonna be sick at least 3 times. And usually when the kids get sick, mom takes off, not dad. Mm-hmm. So that means she's gonna be out 12 times. So they start calculating, right? And so when asking the questions, you just have to be very creative to get them to open up and give you the answers that you need.
Wow. Yeah. Some guy deep. Okay, so the next one is more about how do you actually evaluate if like what you're teaching and training is actually like sticking? Like, how do you do that?
So it depends on the situation. So if I'm working with the school, it's, have you seen a change in the behaviors? Have you seen a change? Like I taught etiquette and communications over the summer. So when they did a dinner, they discovered that the evaluator of the program was like, are they following Coach K's etiquette rules? Are they, you know what I mean? And so when she saw them doing it and making sure that their forks were in the right place and that they were leaving their phones off the table, all of those things became a part of their culture, right? Just because they had taken the class. That lets me know that it's working. If I'm working with youth who I only have like a week with them and I got to just get them through a certain part of the program, it's the after effects. So one of the best compliments I received was the students who are coming out of Coach K's training are doing better than the city employees. That was awesome for me because they were like coming in, like, because the city employees haven't had the opportunity to check their attitudes. They haven't had the opportunity to resolve conflict in a way. It doesn't mean that you don't have conflict. It doesn't mean you have to like the person, but can you respect? They on some meet me outside or, the famous keep that same energy, which is still a threat in most cases, right? So you can't say that. And so what they were finding were these students were being prepared for the real world assessment that they were going to have throughout their employment there. And they really felt like they had done a better job than the employees that had been there for years. So that's how I know it's working. It's because I see the change. I see the impact. I'm not really big on what's the test. You know what I mean? Like the test itself, because I've studied for tests. We just study to give the right answers. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? But when we are looking at, is your life changed? Mm-hmm. Do you have the results? That's what I'm looking for. I'm not so much into the test. I'm looking for, here go a situation. Let me see how you handle it. Because if I just stick around and just pay attention, I'm going to see it.
Wow. That is a little difficult to quantify. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That one definitely is. But I love how you said, I want to see the results, because that's how I started the show. Like a big part of it is the evaluation part. Like you have to see, if you care about the results, if you care about the transformation, you have to be able to somehow see it happen, whether it's you're able to quantify it with numbers, which I hope you can do. But sometimes it is a little difficult. Like it takes some creativity to be able to say, like, we improved this by this % or whatever. But that's really awesome. I love that you're looking for the change to happen, or even hearing the feedback that the change did occur.
And I think that that's something organizations fail to do. They might do a survey at the end, but usually the survey is coming from a company like mine that came in to service you. They don't follow up. Like, what did you learn? Well, how does that impact what you're doing right now? What would you do differently now that you would not have done, right prior to the training? Right. What was going on? What's the conflict y'all have? Have you been able to resolve it? Because usually when they call me in, it's because there has been conflict. It's because they have employees who don't get along and it's escalating to violence or something like that. And they're just like, we don't know what else to do. So when I come in, I establish, and I'm usually very direct. I mean, even in my everyday, just with my girlfriend's conversation, I'm pretty direct, right? Like a little bit more than I probably should be. But when I come in, I'm like establishing myself as the auntie that y'all love. You know, the auntie that tells you stuff and your parents been like, I've been saying the same thing for 6 years. How come she say it one time and y'all get it? And it's like, you ain't told us that, Mom, right? But it's the delivery, it's the way auntie approaches it. You feel heard, all of that. So I give them those opportunities while I'm teaching them. Somebody give me an example of this, and I can tell when they about to say something in the room because they'll look at each other like, right? And I'm like, what's that thought right there? What's that thought right there? Let's go ahead and have it out so that we can make sure that we address it. And we've done that. Just, you know, who has an issue? We did that for the college students, and they were just like, so here's what happened. And I was just like, okay, this is how she feels. This is how he feels. Is there an apology? Do you feel like you owe her an apology? Yes, I do. Do you want to give it to her? Nope, not right now. Okay, so you need a minute. That's a real life response. We got marriages that happen like that. I know I'm wrong, but he gonna have to wait on it, right?
Like, yo, because you're not gonna mean it,
right?
You want to say,
and you can't force people to mean it. You don't get to choose how they fix what you broke. You did something, and I responded. My response was wrong, but so was what you did. So you can't force me to respond because it escalated the situation. I'm still hurt. I'm still angry. I'm still having feelings. And so I'm not being petty. I'm being real with myself. This ain't the right time for me to come through with the apology because you're not going to receive it because I'm not going to say it right.
Right. Yes.
All of that matters. All of it matters.
Yeah. Tone, the text and the tone matters. And a lot of times people make it seem like it's one or the other. But I'm like, no, you need both. I need the right words and I need to say it the right way so that I know it's sincere, or at least
absolutely
sincere.
Absolutely. But then also, like, people need to understand that sometimes you have to argue with that smile on your face. You understand what I'm saying? You can't. It bothers me when I see couples come out and you can tell they mad just walking the house like, I don't want to be at this function. You know what I mean? Like that's how people come in, and it's like nobody should know. Right. Everybody in the office should not know that y'all have an issue with each other. Right. Sometimes you have to have those conversations with a smile on your face. When I'm reprimanding students, I put their back to the door. If you can see in, if you can look through a window, your back is to it, because as I'm reprimanding you, okay, so you had 3 weeks of detention, and I'm going to talk to your parents. And I want you to know that if you ever act up like this again, we're going to escalate this all the way to expulsion. Now, everybody clap. All right, let's go. Right, you understand what I'm saying? At the end, like I'm like your body language is going to be where people go, oh, they getting an award?
Right, yeah.
They don't need to see me with my hands on my hip and my head shaking. That's not productive. People feel fronted. You understand what I'm saying? So teaching your staff how to communicate in the most upbeat, positive, respectful way that they would want something communicated to them is where the challenge is.
That's good. I'm gonna read this one last stat, and then I want you to know how to contact you. So it was a LinkedIn learning report found that 57% of senior leaders today believe that soft skills are more important than the hard skills. So they listed leadership, communication, collaboration, and time management. And what you just said triggered me to look at this, because you were just saying, like, what did you say? Like, you don't want people to feel fronted, like being able to get upper management, or if you have people report to you, know how to talk to them as well, because they control. They're the thermostat. They control it. So it's just like, it's not just about these new hires at the entry level. It's really everybody in your organization, because we all have to work together. We all have to be in a shared space. We have to be on meetings together. You have to be able to resolve conflicts between employees. So it's just like, you can't be in there. And
problems start at the top. It's not, see, I know that we think that the issue of if the culture was, hey, we got a friendly environment, you would not have people bickering at the bottom. Said, when people come in and they're like, hey, let's assess this company, if they buy out the company, they usually fire the top people, because they're like, if what you were doing was working, we wouldn't be necessary. Wow. So if there is a lot of bickering and if there's a lot of attitude, I want to know what is your manager doing? I want to know what's the manager above them doing, because all of this is happening because of ineffective leadership.
They're either modeling that or condoning it. Either way.
Right. Either way, you got to go because it shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm. This was so good, Coach Kiana.
Thank you.
Listen, we know tons of entrepreneurs and they're hiring people all the time, and we know people that are hiring fire. Yes. So, sometimes they need the training. So
listen, I have fired myself as the CEO of my own company a couple of times. Like, you know what? If this ain't working, you the problem. Let's just get it together. Right.
So, tell us how to find you, girl, because they gonna need to reach out to you.
So you know what? info@kianashaw.com. Just if you shoot me an email, they'll filter it through me. Put Dr. Michele in the subject, and they'll send it right on over to me. They won't even read it.
And I'm so happy that you joined us here at the Brownstone.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Yes. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. I've been Dr. Michele, and you've been listening to Numbers Don't Lie here on KCCR The Brownstone. Be sure to follow us on brownstoneworldwide.com and check us out on Facebook at the Brownstone Worldwide. And you can follow me, Dr. Michele, at Mogul Beginnings. That's MOGUL, Mogul Beginnings, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm findable. Alrighty, that's all we have for you today, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, thank you, Coach K, Coach Kiana Shaw, because she wears all those hats and she's great at all of them. Have a great day.